Okay, let's unpack this stack of sources you've shared with us and dive deep into, well, a truly wild ride through the galaxy. We're calling this one Shakedown.
And this deep dive is custom tailored just for you, the learner, who wants to quickly and thoroughly grasp the core ideas and maybe some of the surprising twists hiding within these pages. We've got excerpts detailing a really fascinating, interconnected story, spans different corners of the galaxy.
That's right. Our mission today is to follow several seemingly disparate characters and plot lines as they navigate some incredibly dangerous situations. And eventually, it all reveals hidden secrets and, well, galaxy-shaking conflicts that tie everything together.
As we go, keep an ear out for some big themes that sort of bubble up repeatedly. You've got corruption, the nature of justice, or maybe injustice, the power of hidden knowledge, survival against the odds, definitely, and the truly unexpected ways different lives can intersect.
Absolutely. And to set the stage, this whole complex web begins with a surprisingly simple starting point. A small-time smuggler who suddenly finds himself tangled up in a very, very big problem.
Precisely. Our introduction is to a fellow named Kurt. He had this, modest operation dealing in something called Jakarta weed. Now, this was just a common backcountry weed on some colony world.
Right.
But someone discovered that dried and smoked, it produced a mild euphoric effect. Almost no side effects, apparently.
Which, of course, the colony government on that planet saw as an instant cash cow. Classic. They slapped a massive duty on it, limited exports to control the market, and suddenly, well, you had smugglers like Kurt.
Yep. Prices went up, government got rich off taxes, and the black market it flourished.
Standard stuff, really.
Kurt had already run this scam perfectly twice. This was his third shipment, and he claimed his last. He expected to make millions of credits enough, he told himself, to finally go straight, become a respectable trader.
But things went spectacularly wrong just before blastoff, didn't they?
Oh yeah. First, an electrical fire broke out near his cargo hold. Created a lot of very happy, maybe oblivious cargo loaders thanks to the smoke. Then, an overly observant, maybe too honest, young customs officer spotted the issue.
Okay, so busted. But maybe not the end of the world yet.
Kurt wasn't overly worried at that point. He had money banked, cash on him. He planned to lie low, get a new identity, maybe even bribe his ship and cargo back. He thought, standard customs bust. A pain, but manageable.
And then came the invasion.
Exactly.
Hmm.
While he was waiting to be processed, Sontarans arrived. They took over the spaceport, the whole planet, with just breathtaking speed. Ruthless military efficiency.
Wow.
Kurt's only goal instantly shifted from recouping losses to just establishing himself as an innocent bystander and getting out of there alive. He actually ended up falling asleep waiting.
He fell asleep during an invasion.
Stress does weird things, I guess.
Mm.
When he woke, he was in jail, and he quickly found himself caught and brought before Commander Steg in what used to be the administration building, now a makeshift court.
This Commander Steg, the source describes him in pretty unforgettable detail.
Oh, it's vivid. Imagine this huge, round head just emerging directly from massive shoulders. Hairless, ridged skull, leathery greenish-brown skin, and that distinct pig-like snout above a cruel, lipless mouth. But the worst, apparently, were the eyes, small, red, and glowing like savage fires.
Yikes.
Kurt, who claimed he'd traded with all sorts of aliens, said he'd never met one that gave him such an immediate, deep chill of fear. He realized it was exactly like the bogeyman from the gruesome fairy tales he'd heard as a kid.
That's some powerful imagery. The bogeyman finally got him.
Looks like it. Steg, speaking in this harsh, guttural voice, seemed completely uninterested in Kurt's, long criminal record. Didn't care what Kurt had done before.
So just the smuggling attempt right then.
Only what he did here on Sontaran territory, as Steg put it, attempting to smuggle Jakarta weed immediately before their arrival.
Steg listens impassively as the old colony law violations are read out.
Considers it for maybe a second, then just declares guilty. Total finality.
Kurt naturally starts to protest.
But Steg cuts him off. Explains the harsh sentence. Death isn't just arbitrary. It's meant as an immediate, dramatic example. Insignificant as you are, Steg tells him, that chilling Sontaran way, you give your lives for the glorious Sontaran Empire.
Wow, that's a pretty stark introduction to the Sontaran mindset, isn't it?
Absolutely. Individual lives are completely subservient to the glory of the state. Just tools for indoctrination.
So, while waiting for this rather grim fate, Kurt is sharing a cell with another prisoner. Smallish man, crumpled white suit, battered hat. Sound familiar?
This man introduces himself as a simple scholar, someone who spends his life searching for knowledge.
This, of course, is the Doctor.
Indeed. And he offers Kurt a typically cryptic observation. Sometimes two wrongs can add up to a right.
Turns out the Doctor was actually on the planet studying the local life forms, the Jakari.
Right. The colonists mistakenly thought they were dim, harmless. But the Doctor reveals they're actually intelligent agents, spies in plain sight, communicating via this complex system of signing because they totally lack vocal cords.
And the Doctor himself communicates with them how?
Tapping. The source says it was the Doctor, using the name Smith, who was helping the Jakari understand the colonists and quietly organize resistance against their oppression.
Okay, so he was already involved before the Sontarans showed up.
Yeah. When the Sontarans arrived, it looked like the Jakari's situation was finished, but the Doctor suggests using the Sontaran chaos for their own revolution against both the colonists and the new occupiers.
Clever.
During an escort, the Doctor, as Smith conveniently stumbles, taps a Jakari. Escape plan is go.
The escape isn't smooth, I gather.
Definitely not smooth, but effective. The Doctor mentions he had to teach the Jakari how to fight, sadly. They naturally hate killing.
But they can do it now if necessary.
Right. What's interesting, though, is Kurt himself. He also shows this reluctance to kill unnecessarily during the escape. Knocks a guard out rather than ending his life.
It's a really striking detail, isn't it? The smuggler and the scholar teaching non-violent beings how to fight, but both showing distaste for unnecessary death, as unexpected layers.
Absolutely. After the escape, a grateful Kurt offers the Dr. Smith half, then a third of his profits.
And the Doctor
Refuses the money outright, suggests Kurt keep it. If they're big enough, he tells Kurt with that classic Dr. twinkle, you could even turn honest.
Kurt leaves, planning to maybe even take up solar yacht racing with his millions. He feels he owes the Doctor one, sets him up as this sort of honest criminal, pays his debts, even unconventional ones.
And the Doctor, watching him go, just thinks Kurt is a nice fellow. Simple as that.
So while Kurt heads off with dreams of solar yachts and going straight far across the galaxy, other stories are just starting up. Let's drop in on Megerra, right? Mineral-rich, if slightly sleazy planet. And its sprawling megacity.
Megacity. The source describes it as, yeah, carved up by mining corporations, but also kind of unattractive. Not exactly a tourist paradise for sightseeing, its other main industry.
Catering to certain appetites.
Yes. The businessmen on the Planetary Council basically run it as one big open city. Offers a wild time with very few questions asked. It's a place where corruption isn't just prevalent, it's the system.
Everyone's on the make.
Pretty much. Cash and bribes are king. Computerized credit isn't widely trusted after too many high-tech swindles apparently happened.
And into this delightful place step Roz and Chris. They're working for the Doctor, hunting someone known only as the Ripper.
And they find Megacity tough because, as the source puts it, good police work is fundamentally local. You need to know the turf, the snitches, the players. They're complete outsiders here.
Just following a trail of bodies.
A brutal trail of corpses that's appeared across the planet, yeah.
They get a taste of the local corruption pretty quickly, I bet.
Instantly. Bribing a hotel clerk is standard procedure. Then there's the hover cab driver who demands triple fare. Pulls a vibra knife when Chris refuses.
Seriously? A knife?
Yep. Only settles for double and happily shows off. He has plenty more knives where that came from. Money-changing bureaus, naturally, are everywhere, offering terrible rates.
So they follow a lead to one of these change bureaus.
To investigate a murder that happened there, yeah. Questioning the terrified chief clerk, Relk. The victim was found mutilated and the safe was emptied. Nearly 50,000 credits gone.
Their investigation is cut short, though, right?
Abruptly.
Yeah.
Arrested by Ogrons. Hauled off to police HQ.
And Roz, despite being a seasoned investigator,
does not enjoy being on the receiving end. Chris dryly suggests she see it as a new perspective.
At police HQ, they meet the police chief, Garshak. An Ogron, but different.
Highly intelligent. The result of this brutal scientific experiment meant to enhance his race. Killed half the subjects, only slightly improved most others. Garshak was the one completely successful case.
Wow. What happened then?
Source says he killed his creator and the chief who sold them into the experiment, then led the survivors as mercenaries before ending up as police chief in Megacity, a city notorious for high turnover in that job.
He explains how the police force works there.
Yeah, not funded by taxes, completely self-financing, takes protection fees from businesses, straight-up cuts from criminals.
Roz's reaction?
Absolute disgust, calls it wall-to-wall corruption. Garshak just thanks her, totally unfazed.
When Garshak asks who they are, Roz plays a card.
She reveals they're Pinkertons, Ancient Earth-based private detective agency. Legendary status across the galaxy, the eye that never sleeps. That reputation gives them some leverage, implies persistence. They always got their sentient life form.
They explain they're hunting the Ripper. Killed a millionaire banker on Earth hired by the family.
Garshak hints they've stirred up trouble. Mentions others might want them dead too, like the local Wolverine gang or worried fat cats who offered him a bribe to get rid of them.
Charming place. Garshak seems to know more about the Ripper than he lets on.
Seems like it. When Roz asks about the killer maybe taking the shape of the murdered Change Bureau proprietor, Garshak acknowledges it's possible. Almost mockingly says he'll tell his patrols to look out for unexplained strangers with money, bizarre, or violent behavior.
In Megacity, he notes.
Bizarre and violent behavior is pretty much the norm.
Yeah. Roz and Chris eventually stake out a nightclub. Sounds about right for Megacity.
Typical, yeah. Sleazy, smoky, overpriced, full of fools and smooth operators. And that's where they spot their quarry. Someone who has taken the shape of the murdered Change Bureau proprietor, Mr. Sakis.
And his Figurekis.
Current. The Rutan sky they've been hunting.
Okay, so they found him. Were their orders again?
Make contact, not capture, get him to talk to the doctor, maybe escort him off planet.
But Chris, after all this tracking...
He's ready to act immediately? Roz has to physically restrain him, remind him of the plan, follow first, stick to orders.
They leave police HQ using that bribable Wolverine hover cab driver Chris met earlier.
Yeah, Garshak seemed surprisingly helpful, even arranged their transport.
Yeah.
But the source reveals he actually allowed the Wolverine gang to ambush them right outside HQ.
So he wants them followed.
Exactly. Not killed yet. He's hoping they will lead him to Carney. Clever, ruthless Ogron.
So Roz and Chris end up pub crawling.
Effectively, yeah. Days of it, through Megacity, is part of the hunt. Chris Riley describes it as a tough job. It seems Garshak's plan worked. They're being shadowed by Wolverines while they hunt the Rutan. Layers upon layers.
Okay, meanwhile, far across the galaxy again, let's journey to Sentarion, the library planet.
This is where we meet Bernice Summerfield, distinguished academic. She arrives expecting peace and quiet for her research in this renowned university city. But the spaceport is eerily deserted.
Weird. How does she get around?
She sees what she first thinks is a big bird. Turns out to be an ornithopter, a craft with flapping wings.
Ornithopter.
Despite having a fear of flying, she opts to take it. Alternative is a multi-day hike. Turns out it's surprisingly practical in the planet's low gravity.
But her pilot,
A beetle-like creature, starts flying away from the city, attacks her, threatens to drink her blood.
what?
Her terrifying introduction to the Harubtai. Dangerous, bandit-like creatures. Bernice manages to crash the thing, but survives.
Thank goodness. Then what?
Thankfully, a second ornithopter arrives. Piloted by Hapir, a spindly green insectoid. He scolds her for taking an unlicensed craft. His bears the official university mark.
Does she trust him after the first one?
She's exhausted, suspicious, but accepts the ride. Pointedly shows her blaster as a precaution. Smart move.
This time, Happier takes her towards the city.
Yes, and she's genuinely impressed. A city of gleaming spires, towers, connected by walkways, buzzing with ornithopters. He explains how it grew from a simple oasis settlement into this vast university city.
Arrival at the university sounds like a car park for ornithopter.
Yeah, amusingly described that way. Bernice is formally welcomed as Domina, a term for distinguished female scholars. Reflects their adopted Old Earth customs.
What's the population like?
Diverse humans, humanoids, various insectoids, but predominantly insectoid, with seemingly rigid social divisions immediately apparent.
She meets the Lord Chancellor.
Yeah, a giant soldier ant, dressed in academic robes and cap. Intelligent, dignified. He offers the university's full aid, not just for her qualifications, but explicitly because of her connection to our old friend, the Doctor.
Ah, there it is again. The Doctor's influence.
Clear signal, isn't it? Hints at his extensive network. Bernice immediately realizes her mission must be important if someone, like those Harubbatai, is trying to stop her. Happier dismisses them as just bandits, but she's not buying it.
Over a meal, healthy food, bad beer. Apparently she learns more about Centauri society.
A bit more, yeah. 3 main divisions. The silent, never-complaining black workers, the meticulous, pedantic green civil servants, and the unseen superior beings, scholars and rulers, clearly the privileged class.
Things get really interesting when she meets Zimar, a xenosociologist.
Oh yeah, takes a sharp turn. He gets rather drunk, rambles about a folk myth on every planet, aliens from the stars bringing peace and wisdom. but he's convinced it actually happened on Sentarion.
He reveals there's a secret temple where Centauri worship the Shining Ones who promise to return.
Right. He believes this widespread myth might be based on actual space-traveling aliens, accelerating the development of native species. Links it to old Earth ideas like the von Daniken myth or quartermass theory.
And then the danger Zemar hinted at becomes terrifyingly real.
While they're talking on a terrace, Harubtai attack. Flow over the railing like desert darkness, make this ghastly sucking sound as they kill Zemar. Drinking his life force is described as.
Horrifying. Bernice rushes back to report it.
And gets completely gaslit by officials. Happier, the Bursera. They claim she returned alone, Zemar just left the planet. Fabricate witness accounts. Warn her she could be expelled if she doesn't drop it.
But because of the doctor's connection.
She's allowed to say. But it's clear there's a massive, dangerous cover-up happening. Tied to the temple, the Rupti somehow. Seeking safety and answers, Bernice seeks sanctuary in the temple itself.
Inside, it's full of murals depicting Centauri history.
Stunning murals, yeah. War, struggle. Then the appearance of a vast orb or glowing spheres, the Shining Ones. They teach the Centauri, lead to cities, Ornithopter's peace, the university. The temple, she learns, is built on this holy place against the day they return based on a great compact.
So Zemar's ramblings were basically true, a myth based on something real.
Seems so. Bernice is studying the archives, piecing it together, but her research is cut short. The Lord Chancellor appears, states starkly she must stay in the temple. She's seen the great secret, cannot leave alive. Sherburne guard the doors now.
Trapped, isolated, fearing she'll be forgotten. What does she do?
Pulls out a small silver sphere of the button. A Spatab statiotemporal alarm beacon. Basically, yeah, a Time Lord panic button to signal the doctor across time and space.
And talk about perfect timing, because threads are converging rapidly now. Let's pick up again at Space Station Alpha. Roz and Chris are there, still hunting Karna.
And who should they run into but the doctor? Conveniently, also on the station, they meet up in the bar.
What do they discuss?
Karn's state, weak, feeble after absorbing all that blaster fire back on Mega City. And the mystery of how he disappeared from Alpha. Station records showed no ships leaving, except one space yacht.
The doctor puts the pieces together.
With that characteristic flash of insight, yeah?
Oh.
Deduces the Rutan, weak but desperate, must have taken the space yacht. It's called the Tiger Moth, bound for Station Beta on a Shakedown cruise.
Their conversation's interrupted, though.
Suddenly, blaring alarms, station's under attack. Doctor immediately recognizes the attacker, Sontaran vessel.
Meanwhile, on the Sontaran warwheel orbiting the station, Admiral Sarg is briefing Commander Steg. This is a different Steg, right? The one in charge of the warwheel's expedition.
Correct. Their mission. Find a Rutan weakness, exploit it, prevent Karn from warning the Rutans. They thought Karn was dead, now know he's alive, a threat. Security scanning ensures no Sontaran officer is secretly a Rutan. The warwheel itself is moving circuitously to avoid detection.
Just like the doctor, Steg on the warwheel also deduces the Rutan must have taken the Tiger Moth.
Yet the only vessel that left Alpha, he dispatches an assault craft, boards the yacht with a Sontaran party to hunt it down.
On board the Tiger Moth, Captain Lisa Duran is trying to manage her crew, prepare for the solar race.
Yeah, she's dealing with power fluctuations reported by her engineer, Robar, and significant tension among her wealthy socialite crew. Zarel, the vain designer, Mari, the good-natured president's daughter, Nikos, the impulsive heir who loves Mari.
And who else should be among the passengers?
Kurt, the ex-smuggler, used his Jakarta wheat profits to finance the trip, fitting in surprisingly well with the rich socialites, while secretly fulfilling that debt he feels he owes the doctor.
Lisa, the seasoned captain, is drilling the inexperienced crew with VR tech.
Preparing them for the race. Describes the ship, the Tiger Moth, transforming from an ungainly insect into something beautiful when its massive solar sails deploy. Really shows her passion, her expertise.
But their journey is violently interrupted.
Sontaran's board. Explosive grenade at the airlock. Kurt is seemingly taken down by the blast. Others flee deeper into the ship. Sontarans start hunting the crew.
Captured crew are rounded up. Tensions flare.
Immediately. Especially from Zarel. Distrusts Kurt, his past plotting against Sontarans. Openly declares her priority is survival at all costs. Wants to expose him.
Steg, focused on the Rutan, brings Lisa to the engine room.
He's systematically dismantling the power unit, searching. That's where he finds Robar, the engineer, dead. Body mutilated, described as partially dissected.
Grim. Steg offers Lisa a deal.
Freedom for her and the crew if they help hunt the Rutan. Lisa agrees, though makes it clear she can't answer for the others. crucially insists Robar's body be treated with respect, returned to his cabin.
But Steg's offer is worthless.
Totally. Reveals his true intentions privately to his lieutenant, Vorn Air. No intention of sparing the humans. Promises made to inferior species, typical Sontaran arrogance, have no validity. They'll all die after Rutan is destroyed.
Back in the crew room, Zarel tries to betray Kurt.
Tries to tell Steg Kurt was plotting against him. Kurt quickly steps in, claims he did any plotting alone, protects the others. Lisa backs him up, supports Kurt's quick thinking.
Steg finds this amusing, intriguing.
Hands Kurt a blaster, challenges him to shoot. Highlights Vorn standing right there, ready to kill Kurt instantly. Kurt hesitates, admits, I don't like the odds.
Then Nico's the impulsive one.
Attacks Steg directly. Tries to protect Mari, the others. Immediately killed by Steg, who remains utterly impassive. Just takes a life.
The Rutan is finally located where?
Within the ship's power drive. Hiding in the heat exchanger. It killed Robar, hence the mutilated body, and absorbed him to sustain itself. Weak, but still incredibly dangerous. Can absorb energy, vanish, reappear as a glowing sphere.
Vorn, Steg's lieutenant, tries a classic Sontaran tactic.
Orders a trooper to force Lisa into the heat exchanger. Calculates Rutan will kill her, give them a clear shot. But Lisa's quick-witted. Turns the tables, urges the trooper to check the glowing hatch first. Subtly makes Vorn suspicious of her sudden eagerness.
Vorn gets impatient.
Opts for a more direct Sontaran solution. Throw Lisa in anyway. Occupy the Rutan while they destroy it. Lisa grapples with Vorn. They struggle near the heat exchanger.
And Kurt sees his chance.
Grabs Robar's screwdriver from a nearby workbench.
Ah, the Sontaran neck vent. That classic weakness.
Kurt remembered it. Maybe something he picked up in his less-than-legal activities. Plunges the screwdriver into Vorn's neck vent, kills the lieutenant instantly.
Then a familiar shape appears. Robar.
Near the heat exchanger, yeah. Pale, staring, calls out to Lisa. Lisa, my dear, it's me. I'm hurt. Help me.
Terrifying moment. But Lisa
doesn't hesitate, immediately raises her blaster, fires, dissolves the Robar shape into a glowing sphere.
Wow. Kurt's shocked. How did she know?
Robar never called me my dear in his life. The Rutan absorbed Robar, took his form, accessed his memories, including his love for her, but missed the specific mannerisms. Gave the trick away. Chilling detail about how that Rutan operates.
What an insight. Okay, Vorn's dead. Rutan as Robar dealt with. Kurt and Lisa arm themselves.
Sontaran blasters. Confront Steg near the airlock. Steg, mission failing. Trooper's dead, filled with cold rage. Tries to kill Kurt first, wounds him.
But before Steg can fire again,
Lisa acts decisively, shoots him. Steg collapses, acknowledges Lisa as a worthy enemy before dying. That's one Steg down.
And the Sontaran assault craft that brought them, with the other Steg supposedly inside.
Also destroyed.
Yeah.
Lisa and Kurt are the only survivors of the original crew on the Tiger Moth. Heading for Station Beta now, with a lot of dead bodies on board.
Which brings us to Station Beta. Tiger Moth arrives amidst uproar.
Considerable uproar, yeah. News is spread. Mysterious ship disappearances, the fake accident story from Alpha, its subsequent liberation, presumably Sontarans driven out.
The arrival of Tiger Moth carrying evidence of a Sontaran attack, cargo of corpses, stirs things up more.
Confirms the rumors. Station Beta is incredibly busy sending supplies, crews to recaptured Alpha, making Tiger Moth's repairs very low priority.
Which jeopardizes Lisa's plans for the solar race.
Yeah. Exactly. Kurt's now integrated into the conversation, treated as part of the surviving crew. He financed the trip, paid his debt to the doctor by helping save their lives.
Amidst the chaos, a technician finds another dead body on the Tiger Moth.
In the power room, yeah. Again, described as mutilated, partially dissected.
The doctor, Roz, and Chris arrive on Beta shortly after. Took the same shuttle from Megerra the Rutan took earlier.
Right. They examine the newly discovered body. Roz and Chris immediately recognize the state of the corpse, identify it as Rutan work. Seen it too often hunting the Ripper. Kurt confirms saw the exact same thing happen to Robar.
The body is identified as Rye, a Spaceliner service staff member, and this is where the doctor connects the crucial dots.
What's fascinating here is the Rutan didn't die when Lisa shot it on the Tiger Moth.
It jumped bodies.
Exactly. Performed that same gruesome process on Rye. Killed him. Absorbed his consciousness to survive. Take his form. The doctor finds telltale Rutan slime under a power unit. Confirms his theory.
So, the Rutan survived again by absorbing another life form. That ability completely changes the game, doesn't it? Hunting this thing is far more complex.
Absolutely. The doctor checks Rye's Spaceliner's destination, Sentarion.
Yeah. The library planet.
Yeah.
With the secret temple.
Connect this to the bigger picture. The Rutan, Carne, is heading to Sentarion. likely for a significant reason tied to that ancient secret Zemar was rambling about. The doctor realizes they must go there immediately.
Dealing with station manager Malik on Beta proves tricky.
Stickler for procedure, delays them for a full inquiry into all the deaths on Tiger Moth, Sontaran casualties in the morgue. Also brings up the doctor's claim for the loss of his blue box, the TARDIS, back on Alpha.
The doctor without his TARDIS desperately needs the Tiger Moth. How does he handle Malik?
Uses psychological tactics. Subtly, effectively, threatens him. Mentions how Sontarans executed station manager Ferris on Alpha for standing on principle. Implies Beta could be next if they interfere with the Sontarans' apparent target, which seems to be either the Tiger Moth or the Doctor himself. Suggests Malik's adherence to principle could cost him his life, just like Ferris.
And it works. Malik, terrified the Sontarans might indeed come for him,
Lets him go. Expedites Tiger Moth's departure.
Kurt confirms he's joined the Tiger Moth crew permanently. Now an ex-smuggler owing a life debt. Chris, the ex-cop, is wary.
Initially, yeah. But accepts they're on the same side for now. Kurt points out ex-smugglers and ex-cops are just people who've overcome disadvantages. Pragmatic view from his background.
But just when you think everyone's set for Sentarion, one more complication at Station Beta.
Steg. The other Steg. The one wounded during the assault on Alpha. Wakes up in the morgue from an anabolic coma, that deep, healing sleep.
And he sees.
Rye's body being examined, immediately realizes the Rutan is alive. Heading to Sentarion.
He reports to Admiral Sarg. Mission's compromised because the Rutan knows that we know their plan.
Steg learns Tiger Moth is also going to Sentarion, chartered by the Doctor. Always he interferes, never to our benefit, Sarg notes with frustration.
But the Sentarion project must go on, Sarg declares, despite the leak. Steg gets a new assault craft, new crew. Follow the Doctor and Tiger Moth to Sentarion. All key players, all threads, converging on the library planet.
Which brings us to the climax. Back on Sentarion. Bernice is still trapped in the temple studying archives, activated her SPAD tab, hoping the Doctor gets the signal.
The Doctor, Roz, Chris, Kurt, and Lisa arrive on the Tiger Moth.
The Rutan, now inhabiting Rye's body, also arrives at the Sentarion spaceport. Meets Happier, same guide who met Bernice, taken towards the university, initially the medical facility.
But that Rutan's true destination is the temple.
Once inside, it transforms, becomes a hovering globe of light. The Centauri witnesses, overcome, prostrate themselves, believe it's one of the returning Shining Ones, a divine presence.
Inside the temple, where Bernice is, the Rutan's appearance causes panic among the leadership. Lord Chancellor, bound by sanctuary word, but utterly subservient to the perceived god,
Prepares to give Bernice to the Hurubtai to be killed, rationalizing, when a god commands.
But just as Bernice's fate seems sealed,
A familiar voice cuts through the tension, the awe. The Doctor arrives, exposes the Shining One for what it is. Rubbish. That thing's not a god, it's a Rutan. Bernice is saved. For the moment.
danger's not over though. This is immediately followed by
Steg and his son Terrance follow the Doctor's group. Steg takes swift control, disarms everyone, recognizes Kurt, the Doctor from Alpha, reiterates his earlier death sentence threat. Cold precision.
And now, surrounded by Sontarans, Rutan, Doctor's group, the grand revelation unfolds.
Steg addresses the Rutan fragment, recognizes it as Karn. Karn, speaking in its strange, warbling voice, explains it came to Sentarion to frustrate the Sontaran plan. Send a warning. Close a gateway.
Steg, triumphant despite the Rutan's presence, reveals the full Sontaran plan, the gateway. It's not mythical.
It's a wormhole. Stable link. Directly connecting Sentarion and the Rutan homeworld. Rutans discovered it ages ago. Saw it as the ultimate escape route for their Great Mother repository of their collective consciousness. Conceal the control mechanism here in the temple.
The Sontarans learned this deepest Rutan secret and plan to use the wormhole not for escape, but for attack.
Devastating attack. Plan was to send their massive war wheel through the wormhole to the Rutan homeworld, destroy the Great Mother, effectively annihilate the entire Rutan race in one blow.
And as he speaks, the threat becomes real. The massive Sontaran war wheel arrives in Sentarian sky. Mighty juggernaut enters the dark, swirling circle of the wormhole, disappears into hyperspace on its destructive mission.
But the Rutan fragment, Karn, realizes it failed to prevent the war wheel's entry, shrieks in pain, sensing the impending doom for its species.
In a final, desperate act.
Sacrifice. Channels its remaining energy into the wormhole control, closes it from the Sentarian side, traps the war wheel in the void of hyperspace, destroys it.
Steg. His plan thwarted. Mission a failure. Kills the Rutan fragment.
Final act of rage. Defeated, disgraced, but still seeking vengeance, turns his fury on the Doctor and friends, orders his remaining troopers kill them one by one, starting with Bernice.
Steg attempts to kill the Doctor himself, sees him as the ultimate source of his problems.
But Lisa Duran, sole yacht captain who just survived the Tiger Moth ordeal with him, acts decisively, shoots Steg.
Steg collapses, dying for the second time, acknowledges Lisa as a worthy enemy before he falls.
With Steg gone, Sontarans dealt with by combined efforts, Bernice is finally freed from the temple. The Sentarion are left utterly baffled by the unexpected departure of their Shining One.
Kurt, ever pragmatic, suggests leaving quickly. Lisa, surprisingly, insists on keeping Steg's body on the ship, sign of respect for a worthy enemy encountered in combat.
Okay, let's try to unpack that incredible sequence. The Doctor helps piece it together. Started years ago. Rutans, discovering that stable wormhole to their home world, established a presence on Sentarion, became the Shining Ones in local myth, created the temple to conceal the wormhole control, saw it as an ultimate escape route for their Great Mother.
Then, Sontarans somehow learned this deepest Rutan secret, planned to use the wormhole not as escape, but invasion corridor, aiming to wipe out the Rutan race. Destroy the Great Mother at its source.
The Rutan spy, Karn, survived an earlier battle, got wind with Fowers. Sontarans were on the trail of this ancient secret, set off, body-hopping across the galaxy, trying to reach Sentarion to warn the Rutans or somehow foil the Sontaran plan.
So it really was that complex chain of he knew that they knew that he knew deal, like Kurt put it earlier.
Precisely. Sontarans learned Karn was alive, knew their secret, forced them to accelerate their plan, used the wormhole as attack route before he could reach the Rutan homeworld. Karn's final act, sacrificing himself to close the wormhole, his last-ditch effort to prevent the war wheel completing its devastating journey.
A truly complex chain of events, all hinging on ancient secrets, intergalactic spies, right people in the right or wrong place at the right time. In the aftermath, the Doctor, Roz, and Chris leave the Tiger Moth to continue their own journey.
Which we assume involves recovering the TARDIS, now with Bernice safely in tow.
Kurt chose to stay with Lisa and the damaged Tiger Moth. Despite the loss of crew, challenges ahead, Kurt, now full crew member, believes they can overcome them.
Lisa, showing her resilience, leadership, immediately starts drilling the remaining crew, breaking them down physically, mentally, to build them back up. Cohesive unit for the future. Kurt's right there with them, learning the ropes of solar racing.
It's a genuinely fascinating redemption arc for Kurt, isn't it? Started as small-time smuggler, only goal quick credits. Evolved into someone who pays his debts, even unconventional ones, to the Doctor. Ultimately chooses to stay, help Lisa rebuild, dedicates himself to a completely new, honest path.
And Sentarion is left grappling with the mysterious departure of their Shining One. The implications. Their deepest religious secrets tied not to divine intervention, but ancient tech, brutal intergalactic warfare, must be profound for their society.
No, and the Sontaran War, of course, continues elsewhere, but this specific, potentially race-ending Sontaran plan against the Great Mother, spectacularly thwarted, thanks to this unlikely confluence of events, characters converging at just the right moment.
So we've journeyed from a Jakarta weed bust, a chance encounter in a Sontaran jail, through the corrupt underbelly of a megacity, academic secrets of a library planet, all the way to a galactic conflict hinging on an ancient secret hidden in plain sight.
It really highlights the incredible interconnectedness of seemingly unrelated events, doesn't it? How the actions of a smuggler trying to go straight, private detectives hunting a killer who's a Rutan spy, an academic doing research, and the Doctor, always interfering for the better, all converged, due to a Sontaran plan to use a Rutan's own ancient secret against them.
And it raises an important question. Sits at the heart of this story. The Sentarion secret. Perceived as religious truth for millennia, basis of their entire society, faith, but ultimately strategic, technological knowledge. A hidden wormhole control, sought by powerful empires for military advantage.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to mull over. Consider how many myths or instances of seemingly divine intervention reported across the cosmos throughout history might have surprisingly mundane or incredibly dangerous technological explanations hidden just beneath the surface of belief. What secrets might be hiding in plain sight on other worlds, masked as something else entirely, just waiting to be discovered, or perhaps exploited?